Hey y'all, welcome back. It's time for another episode of 10th Inning Talk. I'm your girl April, also known as All About April 3 on all social media platforms, and I am here to deliver the latest in both softball and baseball, collegiate and professional news. But before we get into today's episode, which I need to go on ahead and warn you is going to be a little lengthy one because we got a lot to talk about because a lot has been happening. I have to give a shout out to my guys, beginning with Flobo Boyce and his podcast In the Booth. He interviews everyday fans and we get an inside feel of their loyalty to their sports teams. I also want to tell you to check out the Black Baseball Mixtape online. They actually have great articles for you to completely lock into. And then, of course, finish your breakfast with my guy Cheats. He does this every morning on both Instagram and YouTube to keep you connected with the latest in Black baseball news. But without further ado, let's go on ahead and get started because this week has been crazy. But episode 10, oh my gosh, I made it to 10 episodes. Episode 10 is going to be titled All About the Greatest Show on Dirt. Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially made it to the Women's College World Series. But I'm going to leave that for last because I believe that that is literally the peak of everything right now. Let's hop into some Major League Baseball news first because I know some people are like, girl, you still watch MLB? Of course I do. You know I'm a Dodgers fan. I'm never letting them go. But what are some things that have been going on that have left me kind of like, OMG, what is this? Well, first off, Dodgers. Y'all got a lot going on. Mookie Betts has fractured his toe from being at home. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Dodgers, but this is going to be apparently a very lingering issue. Closer Evan Phillips is having Tommy John surgery. There are literally 15 pitchers on the IL. And at this point, I'm just going to go on ahead and be the person to say it. When are we going to start talking about the training staff? Because as a Dodgers fan, this is every single year. This cannot happen. There's nothing healthy about this. And I'm actually surprised that no one else has brought this up in the public. So I'm going to go on ahead and question it. And I want to know exactly what y'all think about all of these injuries happening on a yearly basis. We also had Chandler Simpson. He returned to AAA. I really don't know what the Rays are doing with that because I don't know a single person who is not excited to see him on the field. He is literally, if I'm not mistaken, maybe leading the league in steals. And if he's not leading, he ain't too far behind doing it. He has less than a 10% ratio of strikeouts, but apparently they want him to work on some defense. I feel like most major league players, they have these bouts where they are up and down. But as long as he's able to come back, this is what the most important thing. I am rooting for Chandler Simpson. He's one of my favorite young players in Major League Baseball. I will tell you, my daddy was hot whenever you heard about that. But we are wishing him the best. Tim Anderson was also DFA'd by the Los Angeles Angels. He was batting 200. Many people have wondered, is this the end for him in Major League Baseball? And I'm not going to lie, I do wonder if that is the case. I do feel like he is someone who needs to play more consistently. Playing every 3 to 4 days is not something that's going to cut it. He needs to be in a rhythm. So look, we support TA over here. So we're going to hope that he is able to get back into the show and we have a chance to be able to enjoy him play again. But in positive news, Andrew McCutchen of the Pittsburgh Pirates broke a long record. Actually not broke it. He tied it. He tied the record with the late and great Roberto Clemente, 240 home runs in Pittsburgh Pirates history. So I'm going to go on ahead and give a little clap for that, because despite all the negativity that I just spouted off, this was something to definitely celebrate. So the Rockies also got their 10th win, and might I add, little victories. So that's what's been happening in Major League Baseball. I hope you were able to keep up with that. And my Dodgers won 2 out of 3 versus the Yankees this past weekend. So we'll take any of the little victories. Now, in insanity news, NCAA Baseball Regionals was everything. And if you are not watching it, what exactly are you doing with your life? Because I'm so serious. It is literally everything. I was so locked into the 64 teams that competed. And I think we all went in just knowing that certain teams were going to make it out of their regionals bracket to super regionals. No, that's exactly not how that went. In fact, there were quite a few upsets, to the point that I'm surprised that Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter all weren't broken from the upsets that occurred. Now, y'all know that in softball, number 1 overall seed Texas A&M lost their regional, which they were hosting. That happened again in NCAA regionals, but for baseball, for the very first time. Number 1 overall seed Vanderbilt was upset by Wright State. And let me go ahead and say, Wright State actually should have beat them that Friday night. They had a pitcher in who was literally pitching incredibly. I'm talking about what he had pitched, maybe 6 innings, maybe a no-hitter, and coach pulls him. Vanderbilt has this home run, and I'm doing home run quotations because was it really a home run? We don't know. But this home run in maybe the 8th inning that completely changed the turn of the game and ultimately led to Vanderbilt winning that Friday night. But they did not have a good showing. And we also know that Vanderbilt won the SEC tournament the week before. So shocked the world. Not the only shock to the world. The University of Texas, the number 2 overall seed, also lost their regional. And they lost their regional to an in-state school, UTSA, the University of Texas at San Antonio. Oh my gosh. Shockwaves everywhere. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I wasn't as shocked at this one as other people were, because I saw the decline in Texas happening, being that I typically watch a little bit more SEC baseball than others. Texas lost quite a few players to injuries, and they had not been playing their best baseball as of lately. So yes, this is not a school that you typically would think would maybe beat them, but we know on any given day, it's anybody's game. And that's exactly what happened to the University of Texas. Number 7, Georgia. And this was actually a regional that I warned y'all about. I told y'all, keep a close eye on this one. And Duke actually made it out of this regional and will be hosting a super regional, which we will be also talking about. Ole Miss out of it. And Murray State actually will be, they've made it to a super regional. And they were being a little shady on social media. I love the whole, it just meant more. They had a picture of the team, And at the bottom of it, they use the SEC slogan, "It just means more," but they put "it just meant more" at the bottom of their picture. And I'm not gonna lie, I was laughing quite a bit because Ole Miss, if you know LSU, we don't really like them like that. So I was here for the shade. But yes, Murray State did kick them out of the tournament. Clemson also went bye-bye, but West Virginia is like that. They made it out of that regional, and they've been playing some really, really good baseball as of lately. So, such is life. You also had the University of Oregon out of the tournament, and Arizona ended up making it out of that one. Miami wins the University of Southern Mississippi regional. Just y'all, some crazy stuff. I also warned y'all about that one. I think that one also included Bama, who lost like very early on. So, and I can't leave out LSU. Yes, that's my school, but baby, Little Rock gave us all we could handle. And shout out to them because they really were just a great school. The center fielder, I mean, he covered everything out there. And the first baseman as well. I actually saw some people calling Angel Cano, what did they call him? Barry Angel Cano Bonds. Hilarious, but also a good display because we know Barry Bonds was not just a great hitter, he was also a phenomenal outfielder. So, yeah, Little Rock, shout out to y'all. I am wishing you the best, and I actually will be keeping a little bit closer eye on them next year based on how they performed this year versus LSU. But freshman, Kason Evans, he is a true freshman, showed out in that game. And then, of course, Anthony Ianson closed out. So just some great baseball happening in NCAA regionals, leading us now up to super regionals. So what are the 8 super regionals that will be taking place? I have you covered on that, along with who will be hosting. So, of course, if you are not nearby, watch it on TV. But if you are able to make it to a game, being physically present is just everything. Nothing will top that experience. So, Super Regional number 1 is going to be Miami at Louisville. And this is the Louisville Super Regional. The second Super Regional is going to be Florida State at Oregon State. And this is the Oregon State Super Regional. Number 3, Arizona at North Carolina Super Regional. This is the Chapel Hill Super Regional. Number 4, Coastal Carolina at Auburn. This is the Auburn Super Regional. I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, go ahead and put a star next to this one because Coastal Carolina is a very scrappy team. They come to play. Do not sleep on them. Trust me when I say this. Number 5, UTSA at UCLA, and this is the Los Angeles Super Regional. Number 6, Murray State, the Shade Kings at Duke at the Durham Super Regional, and this is also Murray State's first time ever at a Super Regional, so congratulations to them. Number 7, West Virginia at LSU at the Baton Rouge Super Regional. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, West Virginia like that, so I'm a little nervous, but I have faith in Jay Johnson, Kate Anderson, Anthony Ianson, and my Tigers. I do. So forever LSU. And then in the last Super Regional, put an asterisk next to this one because it's gonna be Tennessee at Arkansas at the Fayetteville Super Regional. Talk about a showdown. So yeah, the 3 ones that I think are like that you should really be keeping a lookout on are Tennessee at Arkansas, West Virginia at LSU, and then Coastal Carolina at Auburn. I'm sure people have others that they're going to be keeping a closer eye out on, but those three really, really are going to be something. Now, when does Super Regional begin? It actually begins Friday. This is going to be June 6th, and it's going to finish on Monday. So check your local listings to see your teams are the teams that you prefer to watch so that you do not miss them. And again, if you are nearby, go and watch them. Nothing like that experience. So, moving on to the next part of today's episode, I'm really excited to talk about this. This is going to be the AUSL, Athletes Unlimited Softball League. It's going to premiere this Saturday, June 7th. Now, that's actually pretty great because the Women's College World Series also ends this week. So we're going to continue on with softball, just in a professional atmosphere. Now, this new softball league, they will be traveling around the country and playing. So they don't have set places just yet, especially since there are only 4 teams. And the 4 teams are the Blaze, the Volts, the Talons, and the Bandits. I'll talk a little bit more about who will be on those teams, but I first want to let you know exactly where they will be playing. What are the host cities for this inaugural league? It's going to be Rosemont, Illinois, Wichita, Kansas, Sulphur, Lake Charles, Louisiana, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Norman, Oklahoma, Omaha, Nebraska, Seattle, Washington, Salt Lake City, Utah, Austin, Round Rock, Texas, and then, of course, Tuscaloosa, Alabama for the postseason. So if you are near or around those areas, you may want to check to see exactly when they will be playing. I'll be posting a little bit more about them during the season so that you have access to that information as well if you want to go and visit them. I know for a fact, like I was talking to my dad earlier today and he's like, June 12th, you said, right? That's when they're going to be in Lake Charles. Yes, I know for sure that AUSL will be having a game in Sulphur, Lake Charles, Louisiana on June 12th. And then maybe like July-ish in the Austin, Round Rockish area. Now, I've already mentioned the 4 teams, the Volts, the Blaze, the Talons, and the Bandits. But who are on these teams? I'm sure that's exactly what's going to drive who you will be supporting, who you will be claiming to be your team, but also when and where you will be going for those particular games. So, starting off with the Volts. Some of the teammates are going to be Sam Landry, Michaela Edenfield, Danica Coffey, and Allie Newland. Now, some of these names may sound familiar because you've seen them in regionals or super regionals. For example, Sam Landry, OU, Michaela Edenfield, the catcher for Florida State, and Danica Coffey of LSU. So yeah, definitely want to lock in to them. In regards to the Blaze, Aaliyah Andrews, Sierra Briggs, Carly Hoover, Emma Limley. Now, I first had to show out for my LSU girls because I remember them distinctly. And I was actually pretty excited to see Carly, Aaliyah, and Sierra on this list because their names are still very frequent in my head from watching them play for LSU. But there are also Corby Otis, Anna Gold, and Alicia Ocasio. So yes, Blaze have quite a few names that you're probably going to be familiar with. On to the Bandits. Who are on the Bandits? Well, you have Corey McMillan, Emily Kennedy, Devin Netz, Sarah Willis, and Odyssey Alexander. And then finally, for the talents, you have the current 2025 Player of the Year for the NCAA, Bree Ellis, Sierra Sacco, Raylan Chaffio, UCLA's great Maya Brady, and then Savannah Jacquish. So again, some great women on these teams. It's going to be hard for you to be able to choose a team, but I know that you're going to be ready. They also have merchandise available on their websites. I also want to encourage you to go and follow all of the teams. So go and follow AUSL underscore votes, AUSL underscore blaze, AUSL underscore bandits, and AUSL underscore talent. And then, of course, follow AUSL for all of the information that they are going to be delivering, because they're quite active on social media. Now, where can you find these softball games? ESPN will be the home, but some of the games will also be played on MLB Network and MLB.com. The season will take place from June 7th through July 23rd. This is the regular season. And the postseason will be from July 26th through the 28th. And it's going to have a similar feel of the World Series finals, in that they will have the two best teams competing in a 2-out-of-3 series. So I'm really, really excited about this. And again, the postseason tournament will be in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Now, who is in charge of all of this? The commissioner is going to be Kim Ang. She is extremely well known. I actually don't know a single person who has a doubt about her bringing this new league to success. She's had over 30 years of experience in Major League Baseball. So her leading the charge for the AUSL, I don't think that they could have picked a better person for this particular position. And I'm just really excited about her being here and her bringing us on this next journey of sports for women. So again, go follow them on social media, buy the merch, get ready to support them on TV, because a time will be had. The last section of this show, I'm sure y'all have been ready. The Women's College World Series has been everything. And let me tell you how I know. I have been seeing more threads with WCWS, and that makes me so proud, because initially it was like under 50 threads within an hour or whatever, but it's really gotten up into the hundreds, thousands maybe. And a lot of this has to do with people finding out about Najee Kennedy and her NIL deal, and also the University of Oklahoma losing for the first time in a while. But to see people excited about women's sports, it just always makes me happy to know that there are people out there who want to see us win at this particular level. But the greatest show on dirt gave us all we could handle the past few days, and it's not over. It actually will continue on Wednesday, June 4th, with the two teams, Texas and Texas Tech, participating in the finals. But before we got there, we got to see some talent, some great play, some history, and honestly, are we even worthy? Because let me tell you something, I just really don't know if people have realized the impact that these ladies have. I was talking to my dad about this, and he really enjoyed watching. And I'm glad to say that I influenced him, because I called him one day and I'm like, "Hey dad, what you doing?" And he's like, I'm watching this Red Sox Braves game, but I'm waiting for Nigeria to play." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm waiting to watch Nigeria play." I In all my years, and I've been a softball fan, because remember, I played, if you listen to the episode, he's really excited about watching her play and just be such a phenomenal person in that circle. But on this first day of the Women's College World Series, there were two walk-offs. Lord, I screaming. I'm sure my neighbors are tired of me, but I ain't gonna stop. Ella Parker of OU walks it off versus Tennessee. And Carlin Pickens, like the Carlin Pickens, she really liked that. But Jessica Clements of UCLA also walked it off versus Oregon. And I just in complete shock and disarray. If you're following me on TikTok, you have seen the videos of me and my reaction, because what the heck? But it was absolutely amazing to see the fight and the grit. And one of the things that my dad also mentioned was he loves how the women play such great fundamental ball. They still do the bunts. They still steal the bases. And yes, they do it in professional, but it's not like in softball. They're not as consistent with using those fundamentals within the game. We also can't ignore some of the other greats who played: Sam Landry, Aaliyah Benford of Ole Miss, and, as I mentioned, Carlin Pickens. But let's talk about the controversy of Appendix G. Because if NCAA Regionals did not break the internet, Appendix G definitely almost did. So what happens with this? UCLA hits a home run to tie the game against Tennessee. However, the players of UCLA are crowding the home plate to celebrate their player tying the game. Okay? But the player never touches home plate. And per the rule, no player is allowed to touch the other player unless you are the runner who precedes them, if they haven't touched home plate first. The catcher realizes that the player did not touch home plate and redirects her there. Tennessee catches it. And I said this online. Who caught that? I mean, we all saw it online, but who from Tennessee's side saw that particular thing? It was quite obvious the catcher was redirecting her. And so they give us like 10-15 minutes to review all of this, because Tennessee is like, with the rule book in hand, this is not supposed to happen. And the ump comes back on and says, she did not touch home plate. Yes, a teammate redirected her. However, that play is not reviewable. Excuse me, sir? What do you mean? You took 10 to 15 minutes to review something that we all saw, but y'all missed, and now you're telling us that it can't be reviewed? What in the world? So you admitted all this happened, but you're not going to do anything. And to me, I'm going to be completely honest. If I'm Tennessee, I don't want to win that way. I really don't. Give UCLA the warning and let them know, but I don't want to win on a technicality like that, which was also a part of the rule book. If you haven't read Appendix G, it's like everywhere online. I think that will probably be amended next year. If you watch college baseball, they tend to greet more so near the dugout than near home plate, unless it's like a walk-off to end the game. But I've wondered, is that something that also should be amended? Should players only be allowed to celebrate near the dugout? Maybe. So, nonetheless, all this happens and Tennessee still goes on to win the game. So, that all that happened and it completely nullified it all. Drama, okay? Drama. But I was here for it all. Multiple teams were ultimately eliminated in the Women's College World Series. Florida was eliminated very early. Of course, Tennessee was eliminated. Ole Miss, I really enjoyed watching Ole Miss, especially since they were the only unranked team in the tournament who made it to the Women's College World Series. Oregon, UCLA, and then the great Oklahoma. Now, I've been seeing quite a few people online talking about the dynasty has ended. Stop it right now. Stop it right now. This is how I know y'all not watching softball on a regular basis. The dynasty did not end. Their consecutive streak ended. Those are two different things, okay? This team was made up of quite a few new players. And according to many people, they actually over succeeded. And a lot of the players on the team were freshmen. Do you know how scary they're going to be next year? Do you know how scary they are going to be next year? And I was bothered by that because I also feel like it kind of diminished the role that Patty Gasso and her girls did to get there. So, yeah, I want to make sure that we understand that the dynasty has not ended. The streak ended. Two completely different things. But they'll probably be back. Not probably. I'm pretty sure they're going to be back next year. And that is a conversation that we'll have when they do return. But 4 consecutive World Series, job well done. And I also want to commend Patty Gasso for how she just uplifts this sport. I don't think we give her enough credit for that. Like softball people do, but people who are not particularly in the sport don't really understand her significance to the game. And it's really important that we honor those who go before us to give us the benefit that we so greatly have right now. But on to the finals. And as I mentioned, the finals begin June 4th, 7 p.m. on ESPN. The University of Texas versus Texas Tech. So my question to you is, who you got? Do you have Texas or do you have Texas Tech? One piece of this story that I feel is also missing is the significance of Jerry Glasgow. And I want to touch on this as a Louisiana girly because he was the coach for Louisiana for some years. Now, in Louisiana, we call it ULL, University of Louisiana at Lafayette, but everyone else calls it Louisiana. When he decided that he was going to Texas Tech, people were so hurt. I don't think y'all understand how significant and important he was to the Lafayette, Louisiana community. I'm talking about people were crying, they weren't crashing out, but they were definitely connected to the experience that he brought to this team. And when Jerry left, quite a few players also left with him and went to Texas Tech. Sam Landry was not one. She ultimately went to the University of Oklahoma. We know that she pitched very well for them. She actually pitched against Texas Tech in her last collegiate game. But I wanted to point that out because that part of the story is really being missed And I want to acknowledge how important he is to many of these communities, and why also that most likely played a large role in Nyjah leaving Stanford to go to Texas Tech. I discussed that in my last podcast episode. Go ahead and check that out. But the hug that he gave to Sam Landry, the connection that she has to him, having his daughter's name on her glove, all of that just goes to show that he is a great coach and also a great leader. So I was having a conversation with my brother as well, and reminding him of his connection to so many of the girls who left to go and play for Texas Tech, and Louisiana is back rebuilding their program with him being gone. And he is such a ballsy coach, because him telling Michaela Garcia to steal home, y'all, she slid through that girl's legs and got that run. I was just so proud. And those are the moments that we are so proud to see in the Women's College World Series. They are giving it their all to deliver their best for us who are consuming everything that they are doing. And I just think that it is so wonderful to be able to witness. And the last piece of this is for Texas, Tegan Cavan, playing through the death of her grandmother who has inspired many of the players on her team. I don't know if that's something that I would be able to do, but I am so proud of her for going out there, hearing her teammate call her her hero, and her saying that she was ready and was going to do it for her grandmother. Just moving in so many different ways. So yeah, a lot is happening. People are acknowledging softball, which I am glad to see. But I also want to thank everyone. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I've gotten so many DMs and text messages from people telling me how happy they are that I'm discussing this, and that I have connected them to a community and a sport that they didn't realize was as great as it is, or that they are more apt to learning about it. But I also want to just thank people for giving women's sports a chance. In a time where we are growing in so many aspects, I think it's important for us to also realize the statement, if they build it, they will come. I want to be a part of the movement where I'm using bricks one by one to build, so more and more people will be able to come and to enjoy the beauty of both collegiate and professional softball. Y'all already know how much I love baseball, collegiate and professional. But it's time for women to also have their moment in this sport the same way they're having it in tennis, the same way that they're having it in basketball. And I'm just so happy that my guy Cheats has given me the opportunity to share my love for baseball and softball here. So thank you so much for that. And thank y'all so much for continuing to tune in to me and the 10th Inning Talk. As a reminder, don't forget to check out my guy, Flobo Boyce, and his podcast, In the Booth. Don't forget to check out the Black Baseball Mixtape online and many of the articles that they have from my guy Malik, Buttermain Baseball, also my guy Pat, just phenomenal stuff on there. And even Flobo has some articles up there. And then don't forget to finish your breakfast on both YouTube and Instagram with my guy Cheats. I appreciate y'all so much for the support and the love, and I'm happy to give it back to you. Just a reminder, it's a great day to be both a softball and a baseball fan. Until next time, bye y'all.